Shannon Cake here in the News Channel 5 studios along with my colleague Michael Williams. We have breaking news out of the Palm Beach Zoo this afternoon where around 1:45 today we've gotten reports that one person was injured at the zoo. Preliminary information coming into our studio here indicates that this person was injured inside a contained area which houses a tiger.
The tiger is contained in that area. Guests are not at risk. We're talking about the zoo off Summit Boulevard. Preliminary information coming to us. One person injured inside a contained area which houses a tiger. And again, the tiger, important to note, was tranquilized. Workers are waiting for that tranquilizer to take effect so they can safely render aid to the victim. As this is developing, that could be happening at this moment. The severity of the injury unknown at this point. But again, of note, guests are not at risk. Think about the areas at the zoo. That would lead you to think, though not confirmed, that we're talking about an employee working back in that area. We're waiting to get all of that confirmed right now.
An assumption right now, and we are getting some indication that they are, while, as you mentioned, guests are not in danger, they are asking many of them to relocate, possibly even leave. Our Tanya Rogers is there at the scene just outside the Palm Beach Zoo with an update on that. Tanya, what can you tell us?
Well, this is what we can tell you right now. We're just barely about a block or two away from the zoo. On our way over there, actually, there were several West Palm Beach police officers that went by us. Tomahawk landed at one of the nearby schools, which is Coniston Middle School. Paramedics were on scene. We just saw a patient. Someone was placed onto Tomahawk, and it's now getting ready to take off. You may actually hear the noise in the background. But there are several West Palm Beach police officers who are out here. It's right along Parker Avenue, which is where the zoo is, where the school is. It's bordered one side by Parker Avenue, the other side by Lake. So there is a lot of activity going on this afternoon as police officers are here. And as I said, you can hear in the background that Tomahawk is taking off right now. Of course, we're going to continue to give you updates throughout the afternoon as soon as we have more information relayed to us. Back to you guys.
What about guests? They say the tiger is contained. Nonetheless, there's protocols at every zoo. Situations like this have occurred at other major zoos, the one in Miami-Dade, for instance, in the past that I can recall. And they're just our standard protocols. Any sense of where they move guests to purely as a precaution? Again, we want to note the tiger is contained. It was never uncontained, but this happened back in a contained area which houses the tiger, a series of gates and all of that, but still for workers to get back and forth in there, they can move about. But what about the guests? Do we know anything protocol-wise that might have happened there?
Not as of right now. We're being given very few details at this time, but we're going to continue to be at the scene. We'll be talking to some of the people who are actually the visitors there who had to be evacuated to come out. As I mentioned, a lot of police activity going on just within a block or so of that zoo. But as soon as we have more information, we'll make sure to pass it on to you.
Tanya, before we let you go, just to clarify, because I heard kind of two different things from you. You are there on scene just outside the Palm Beach Zoo, and you do say that guests have been evacuated. Is that correct? Are they standing in the parking lot? Describe the scene for us.
No, we are within like a block or two of where all the police activity is happening. Quite a few West Palm Beach police officers are out here. So we're within a block or two of the zoo.
And by the way, to you at home, I'm looking up some information on the number of animals they have there and the like. So as I'm looking down here, I'm trying to look up some of that information just overall about the zoo. But again, there are protocols in place here at zoos like this. We're taking a look at the map now, Shannon, the area that we're talking about at the Palm Beach Zoo. And again, preliminary information, one person injured inside a contained area which houses a tiger. The tiger tranquilized and contained in that area, guests not at risk.
Ironically, Michael, I was just at the zoo yesterday on a field trip with one of my sons. The tiger habitat is extraordinary there, and with much pride, Palm Beach Zoo doubled the size of the tiger habitat back in 2014. The public debut, in fact, was December 2014. The new section is called Tiger Falls, and if you've ever been there, you walk through and you feel like you're literally in the jungle. There are paw prints from tigers in the cement, so it's an extraordinary and beautiful facility. And as you mentioned, safety drills are routinely done. We have gotten that information through our producers in the newsroom. Safety drills are routinely done at the Palm Beach Zoo for situations like this.
Right, and a release from one of the ones you're working on was, and this is a release about a year old, for the first time, the Palm Beach Zoo is home to 4 adult tigers. We don't know if that number's gone down, perhaps, or up a little bit, but again, this was just a bit more than a year ago. Big release. They were very excited. This was part and parcel of when they were talking about this exhibit and the expansion of it, and that they had a number of tigers there, 4 tigers now, a 9-year-old male, an 11-year-old female. female, a 4-year-old male, and 1 other tiger, but 4 adult tigers. Very proud of the exhibit.
Yes.
Again, we do not know, we want to emphasize that, the circumstances surrounding the injury. I can only tell you from history and some episodes that have happened at other major zoos that I have covered. There are protocols inside the contained areas about when the animals are fed, what inner gates are opened and closed. We don't know the circumstance that would have allowed a person to be near that tiger at that particular point. That is not known to us, but it's, again, very important to emphasize that guests are not at risk. The tiger remained in that overall contained area and was tranquilized. And you heard Tanya say trauma hawks on the ground. The person may already have had that aid rendered, and I would imagine would go to St. Mary's as their trauma stop. We've got crews bound that way as we try to piece all of this together for you right now.
And that nearby school is Coniston Middle School. Alex Hagan, by the way, our reporter, is there on scene. He's right now tweeting out photos and video of the scene, if you'd like to follow him on Twitter as well.
So we're going to continue to follow this story for you. Again, shortly after 1:45, officers responding to this report of an injured person at the zoo. We're trying to get zoo officials on the phone, and of course we have crews headed to the scene to try and parse out exactly what happened and why. The main focus right now, of course, the condition of that person injured. All of us wishing the best. As you take a look at photos we are getting, trauma hawk near the zoo, in a field near the zoo, Shannon, taking care of that injured patient. That, of course, the first and foremost priority for all concerned, as all of us wish that person the best. We don't know the nature or scope of the injuries at this point.
And as you mentioned, the tiger was tranquilized. They are waiting, still awaiting for that tranquilizer to take effect. That was the last word that we got from officials at the zoo before they could actually get into that cage. But it does sound like that individual has been taken out of the cage, at least the victim here, and the human victim, and carried by trauma hawk away.
And again, I've said, based on scenarios, guest, employee, at least the information limited that we have would tend to lean towards perhaps a suggestion that it was an employee, but we do not have anything confirmed, and I want to emphasize that on these breaking stories. All we know is what we are being told by officials, including fire officials, zoo officials, that 1 person injured being trauma hawked right now.
We know that person was not a guest, that is for certain.
Yep.
We're going to stay on top of this story for you throughout the afternoon as our reporters feed us back information, video, and pictures. We're going to bring it to you. We'll cut into programming and bring that update to you live. We'll
have full coverage beginning at 4 on the Now and on WPTV.com, online all afternoon and on air starting at 4.
Good afternoon.